Hello, my name is Hanpei Wu. I'm from Shanghai Tech University. Today I will talk about ADA, Application Conscious Data Acquirer for Visual Molecular Dynamics. Starting with background, MD is a computer simulation technique that simulates motion of molecular systems, widely used in biology, physics, chemistry, and material domains. For serving different needs, there are many MD applications, including NAMD, GROMACS, BioVia, Material Studio. MD applications accept the initial states and the environment from input metadata, calculate position and speed for next moment using force field in last moment, write the simulation result of each moment into a trajectory data. Trajectory data records space coordinates of each particle in each frame. Large trajectory data often be compressed for storage as transmission. Scientists use MD results to observe changes in the microsystem, but they cannot directly observe or analyze from coordinate numbers, which may even be compressed. So here comes MD visualization applications. Visualization application for MD decompress and render coordinates to 3D animations, help scientists observe the trend or the key time point of the changes. Here is the workflow from MD to visualize. Visualization application using metadata and trajectory to render animation. These are some visualization apps, including PyMore, VMD, and Chimera. An animation example here shows how the rendering results look like. Let me discuss a biology domain research that needs MD. G-protein coupled receptor, or GPCR, is a group of protein on cell membrane. GPCR research reveals the drug target and physiological mechanism, and it's the target of about 40% of modern medicine. So GPCR became a frontier focus of biological research. Shanghai Tech iHuman Institute published many important breakthroughs about GPCR on Science, Cell, and Nature. In the cooperation with the iHuman Institute, we discovered some problems that motivated us to design ADA. To research principles of drug action on GPCR, iHuman researchers use GROMACS to simulate, use VND to render. Here, GROMACS is an MD application we mentioned before, as VND is a visual application for MD. PDB is the metadata format. XTC is the trajectory format. GPCR is on cell membrane. Both sides of membrane are water. MD needs to reappear GPCR environment for simulation, so metadata and trajectory both contain water. VND render receive the trajectory, so VND also load and render water. Just as an environment, water trajectory is not the focus of observe. So we define trajectory data into two types, water and non-water. Non-water including protein, ligands, phospholipids, and more. Here are three sample trajectory files and its data component used in GPCR MD. We only need to visualize non-water data, which accounts for less than 50%. But now, all data retrieved by VND load into the memory. Load water data is unnecessary and requires more memory. The problem is not only about memory. Each time before rendering, VND needs data pre-processing. VND not only retrieves data, but also decompress the portable compressor XTC file and filter decompressed data. This redundant effort happens over repeatedly study and accounted for over 50% of CPU bus time. If we can do this redundant effort once and for all, we will reduce total time consuming. We mentioned that this redundant work can be done in file system. After considering how to avoid memory waste and once for all, we introduced ADA. We will talk about ADA from the aspects of design goals, architecture, and workflow. Here is the comparison between ordinary and ADA-assisted VMD data flow. We use it to show our design goal. Firstly, ADA is a middleware between computer node and storage node. Secondly, ADA should perform data pre-processing before data retrieving, which will avoid redundant work. Thirdly, ADA only provides the needed data that domain scientists focus on. To achieve this design goal, ADA below user API layer, above underlying file system. ADA has two groups of components. In data preprocessor, data decompressor decompresses data into raw data. Data categorizer categorizes data into data subsets. Labeler assigns tags to data subsets. Indexer maps the tags with data subsets and gets paths from it. In I/O determinator, I/O dispatcher dispatches data subset to underlying file system via tag. I/O retriever retrieves data subset via tag. Here is a summary of each module's function. To explain our design in more detail, let me talk about ADA data flow. When a compressed XTC file writes into a data assisted storage node, it firstly decompresses to raw data by data decompressor. Data categorizer then divides them into data subsets according to metadata. Labeler assigns corresponding tag to each subset according to a user-defined profile. Next, I/O dispatcher redirects the write to underlying file system according to backend and paste information in tag. Note that the labeler manages tag information separately from data subsets. In other words, no additional information is injected into any data subsets, so that tags will not affect the representation of any data subset. After data writing is data retrieving. Take an explicit tagged command line as example. Indexer analyzes the data query, map tags to paths of needed data subsets. So, I/O retriever can write its I/O requests to underlying file system and then obtain the requested data. We implement a prototype of ADA, which employs VND as a target application. We evaluate this prototype on 3 different platforms: a single node server with 2 NVMe SSD and CentOS release 6.10 with ext4, a 9-node hybrid PVFS cluster, which has 3 compute nodes, 3 1TB HDD storage nodes, 3 NVMe storage nodes. We use PVFS2 or OrangeFS in 2.8.2. A fat node with 10 1TB HDDs forms a RAID 0 with CentOS release 7.3 and XFS. Note that single node server and the cluster use the same CPU model, while CPU of fat node is better than them. Fat nodes also have much larger memory. And here is the data set we use for single node server and PVS cluster, which is the real-world GPCR data collected from Shanghai Tech iHuman Institute. It has up to 5006 frames, corresponding to 800 MB compressed XTC file, which means 2.6 GB raw data, in which 1.1 GB is non-water data. The data set for fat node is much larger. The number of frames and the data size both are 10 times of the former. Here is the evaluation result including read time, total time, and total memory usage. The prefix C or D means compressed data or decompressed data. The suffix shows the file system and transferred data type. For example, DADA non-water means this test group transferred the decompressed non-water data using ADA. On single node server, ADA achieves 14 times faster and saves 2.35 times memory compared to ext4. We also evaluate the ADA assist CPU burst time. Compared to PVFS, ADA eliminates redundant time, which weighs more than 50% of ordinary CPU burst time. Then we use the same dataset to evaluate ADA on a 9-node hybrid PVFS cluster, which achieves 10 times faster and saves 2.35 times memory compared to PVFS2. When it comes to fat node with 1 TB memory, we use a much larger dataset to reach the memory bottleneck. ADA achieves 5.2 times faster and saves 2.28 times memory compared to XFS. Besides, XFS group out of memory when VND tries to render 2.5 million frames. Only Ada can perform beyond 1.8 million frames in our test. In other words, Ada rendered 2.3 times more frames compared to XFS. We also evaluate Ada energy consumption. Results are real-world calculated by RPDU, tested in fair node. Result shows Ada consumes 1,780 kJ energy, while ordinary VND consumes 9,283 kJ, saved up to 5.21 times energy, or 80%. Considering Ada can render a small frame, we also push to device limit and find before out of memory. XFS consumes 12,378 kJ. Ada consumes 4,252 kJ, save 2.91 times energy. That's all the results we present. Here is the performance summary. I want to summarize what we presented today. Firstly, we identify a data processing challenge faced by many molecular dynamics applications for visualization and analysis. Secondly, we design a lightweight file system called Ada and implement a prototype, which is a dedicated middleware for VND. Thirdly, Ada saves up to 14 times time, up to 2.35 times memory, and 2.91 times to 5.21 times energy. What's more, Ada can render much larger trajectory data. That's all for our presentation. Thanks for listening. We are open for questions.